Now beginning transmission 111, Ant-Man, Second Chance Man, Highlander, Mary Marvel movie month of May.
Come on, you fuckers think that just because a guy reads comics he can't start some shit? I'll fucking take all you want!
Welcome to this week's episode of the Funny Books and Firewater Podcast.
面白い本と歌手ポッドキャストの今週のエピソードへようこそ。
Ignore her. She drinks.
Each week a motley band of comic readers / amateur bartenders attempt to pair cocktails with comic books.
毎週漫画の読者の雑多なバンドはスラッシュアマチュア入札しようと漫画とペアカクテルバーです。
All while trying to not sound like complete morons in the
すべ
process.
ての中にしようとして音ではないような完了プロセスで低能です。
Kind of like a speakeasy kind of thing. It's kind of cool.
You can find these idiots on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr.
Facebook、Twitter、Instagram や Tumblr にこれらのバカを検索できます。
No, what?
You read too many comic books.
We now join Brian, Jeremiah, Adam, and Todd.
They're used to curious sights which they attribute to alcoholic delusions. They may be drinkers, Robin, but they're also human beings.
I'm too sober for this shit.
Who invented the suppository? Was it a drunken pharmacy Christmas party where dude, I dare you to shove this pill up your ass, and he shoves his pill up his ass, dude, it worked even better. Where does that idea even come from?
I kind of wanted to make a meme out of it, the one where you see all the guys laughing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
But then we told him if you stick it up your ass, it'll work better. Actually, there was going that way. There was one time I did have to take suppositories. I was super sick when I was 12 years old.
Yeah,
and I couldn't keep water down for
super thick.
4 days.
And that's what turned you gay.
It was.
Was that how?
Or that was the punishment for realizing I was gay. I don't know. Yeah,
That's not punishment, honey.
Ooh. And that's how I became a bottom. But no, I couldn't drink water for a couple days. I had 105 degree temperature. So my suppositories, I didn't know what they were. So mom told me. I was horrified.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, took one. I literally
Horrified or aroused?
Well, at that point in time, I was horrified. Because I didn't know about what's that.
But
Now
5 minutes
it's
later.
Now it's like,
now I go to the doctor and can I please have one more, please?
please, may I have another?
But yeah, when I literally got to my bed, it made me pass out. I woke up 6 hours later and drank 2 gallons of water. So
wow.
It worked. So that was the first time I sucked something up my butt.
There you go.
But it wouldn't be the last.
Willingly.
Have you ever thought of it as a career as a drug mule?
Was it drug mule?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room up there. I would put all of them out of business. I'd be there'd be one trip from Adam and everyone's shit.
That's all you need to do, and then we're yep, there's payday. Reminds me of the terrible Star Wars joke I learned. What is the temperature of the inside of a tauntaun? Lukewarm. Yes.
Yeah, I see. When I was a good friend, I was going to let you tell the punchline.
Thank you.
No.
It still made Brian grow.
I think I'm a bad influence on you. You said thank you to how Steven does it. It was very gay.
Oh. Very gay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but when Steven says thank you...
But it comes out his mouth.
That's right.
Where's your handle?
Honey, you got a little...
And with that, welcome to episode 110. No, 111. We're on 111. I apologize.
111?
We're on 111, yes.
It's our 11st.
It is our 11th.
11th episode.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
We're doing Ant-Man, Second Chance Man. I'm a little bummed that this series didn't continue. It was only the 5 issues, and then it was done, which is a little bit of a bummer,
Nope,
if
it
you
did
ask me.
continue. There was it did continue past this.
Oh.
Did it really? Because according to Comics Book Database, it's only listed as the one.
It was restarted as a second Ant-Man series.
Oh, they
But
restarted as something else.
It was still Nick Spencer. Yeah, it was still
right.
It was still called Ant-Man.
Okay.
It was called The Astonishing Ant-Man.
Oh, so that's where this continues on. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it got confusing, because I was this is a bummer, because I was looking up IMDb, or Comic Book Database, and it only had this run. This is from 2015. Nick Spencer, as we mentioned. Art is by a guy... Ramon Rosanos?
Yeah.
Never heard of him, but we'll
Yeah,
talk
but-
about it if I like him out later.
But
Oh,
Marvel, again, we couldn't even figure out where it continued from. You've got a problem you need to figure out.
Okay. We will get into all that. A man with a problem and maybe a plan to fix it. We have Mr. Todd.
Hey, I'm Todd. You'll find me here bumming around Salt Lake, but not bumming in. Maybe. In, out, around.
Bumming in
next to
Come dumpster adjacent.
Come dumpster adjacent. I am come dumpster adjacent right now. Come to think of it. You can also find
come
me.
to think of it.
Come to think of it. You'll also find me English Class Hooligans along with Brian and my better half Amy.
Hi, Amy. Hi,
Hi,
Brian.
Amy. Hey, Amy. And,
Oh, thanks for not saying hi to Brian, you motherfuckers.
well, you're here.
Yeah, but they didn't say hi to me.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not gonna now.
reaction.
I'm not gonna now.
Yeah. So,
I thought you loved me, Maya.
Hi, Brian.
yeah, from a distance.
Hey, girl.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
So, yeah, that's me. I'm Todd. Say hi.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
I'm leaving that in. I love that little theme song right now. Mr. Theme Song himself, we have Mr. Maya.
Hi, it's Maya. As of this recording, Free Comic Book Day was a success.
They sold
Hooray!
comic books on Free Comic Book Day.
We sold comics, we gave comics away, we had a huge sale. It was not our biggest Free Comic Day, but it was bigger than last year, which is awesome. And yeah, thanks to everyone that came out.
That's next month.
Huh?
That was a joke. That was a next month joke. We'll get to it at the end of the episode.
Sure.
We're doing Pride Comics next month, so thank you for everyone who came out.
That is gay.
Yay.
Yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, if you want to yell at me on social media, Twitter at Mr. Maya and the Mr. Maya on Instagram.
So, question for you on Free Comic Book Day.
Yes.
What was your favorite release of the day? I've got to say, a lot of great stuff
I've
there.
only
later.
read like one or two.
Okay.
I haven't read them all yet.
All right.
I mean, I could go the easy one and say, at least Spider-Man.
That was great. Absolutely.
Did you save me a copy of that? Because I didn't make it to my shop.
I've got it.
Awesome, thank you.
I need to send it to you.
And technically speaking, I'll have a second copy too, but I'll talk about that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really read much of the free books yet.
Okay.
Cool. He has 2 copies of Ryan Utley's Spider-Man, and he knows how to use them. It is Mr. Adam.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Adam. You can catch me over at Big Shiny Robot, doing film reviews and other stuff over there.
You are?
I am. I know. Actually, have some spare time now. Kicking things off again with Andy Wilson over at Bored as Hell Podcast.
Hi, Andy.
Yeah, we got.
I'm so
that's
glad
how
you
it
2
works.
kids got back together again.
I know.
Oh, so happy for
Mommy
you
and Daddy are
two.
talking again.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit dead right now. I'm waiting for Deadpool to come out. So we are just doing kind of a wrap up of some movies we missed, and then we're actually seeing Deadpool soon, which is kind of fun.
I'll be there as well.
Awesome.
Yes, Maya will be there.
Because Dave got... Anyway, that's a side note. Yeah,
Side note,
continue.
Inside baseball.
What was funny is actually Allied. They're the people who actually handle the screenings, and they gave me a link to hand out free passes. And I don't know how many we got for Big Shiny, but it literally sold out in 2 minutes. Like,
Yeah,
it
well,
was,
the Adelaide, because sometimes they send us like promo posters
Yeah.
and shit to hand out. They gave us like 5 reserved seats. So,
Nice.
So yeah,
cool.
we will be there, and we don't have to go trade in tickets.
And then
Which
you
is
also
nice.
find me on the Cinema Queens podcast with Chris,
Hey,
Hi,
Chris.
which somehow manages to be even filthier than this podcast. I didn't think that was possible, but we made it happen.
How fucktastic.
That's kind of where it all started to begin with.
Sure.
And then, here on Funny Books and Firewater. Also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, Sithbot, SITHBOT_. And I will give a shout out to another local podcast called The Fortress of Comictude. On Free Comic Book Day, they were running a little trivia question on their Facebook page. I answered it, and they are giving me a signed copy of the Free Comic Book Day Spider-Man signed by Ryan Utley. So that's kind of
Nice.
cool.
Nifty.
Because he's one of my favorite artists.
Swifty.
So, yay.
And he was a super nice dude, and I have some original art from him from Invincible.
Yeah, I've run him at Comic-Con pretty much every year, and every single year he's just the nicest person who wants to talk to you and hang out, and just, he's doing his own thing. He's doing like commissions and stuff, but he actually wants to spend time and get to know people. So
Yeah. So anyway, he's a good dude. I'm going to suck up to him, and we're going to get him on the show at some point in time. That's my new future game plan.
I live in the same town he does. You would think I'd be
true.
turned into a stalker. Or something.
You were Ryan Otley adjacent.
Yeah.
Are you next door neighbors?
You know,
Practically.
all of us, well, not you guys, you actually are. It's like, where are you from? And I'm like, I always say I'm from Salt Lake. I'm not. That's about as much next door neighbor as I am to Ryan as, yeah, I'm from Salt Lake. I don't live in Salt Lake, but I'm near.
Yeah.
you are Salt Lake adjacent.
I am Salt Lake adjacent. Does that make your Cinema Queens co-host Cum Dumpster penetrant?
Yeah, well, he's verse, so it kind of makes them both.
All right.
And speaking of someone who is not verse, we have our host, Mr. Brian.
Hey,
You don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Did you put the moves on me and I just didn't catch it?
Maybe.
Really? Did you? Did you ever hit on me?
No, I did not hit
No.
you.
The man has kissed me, though.
I have a couple times,
You've
actually.
kissed me on the
Yeah.
cheek before, I think.
Nope. I had mustache to mustache.
Oh.
Yeah.
I learned
In downtown Salt Lake just to fuck with the locals.
I learned that he is verse when I gave him a roofie colada and had my way with him.
Oh, he calls that a Cosby.
A cosmic Cosby, if we learned anything from a couple weeks ago.
Although I did the other day learn the truth of the saying gayer than cum on a mustache, and that was actually the gayest thing I've ever seen. So
Wow.
I have this image of Higgins and Magnum PI. That's what's in my head right now.
see, I was thinking Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I want to go something a little more butch just for fun. You know what I mean? Really just to fuck with
Well,
people.
even though Freddie Mercury was not gay, he was bi. And most
That's
people,
right.
Most people
Was he
forget
bi?
that. Yeah, he was. He was almost married a woman. Actually, when he died, he left a lot of his money in his house to her. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
I don't care. The man was a genius and did badass music. It don't matter.
yeah.
But whatever.
He's Amazing Queen with his being in it was actually one of the if I could go back to any time and see a band play before they broke up or someone died, that would be like my number one.
Queen and or like David Bowie in the 70s, I think would be amazing too.
That'd be cool too.
You know,
Unfortunately, whenever I hear the word Queen, the bicycle song is the one that always
Yeah.
comes to mind. None of the other great.
I thought I came to mind.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
but I want to ride my bicycle and with Queen and everything, and yeah, that's still there.
But the weirdest thing is, so I did a charity bike ride for a few years. We'd ride 150 miles down to San Diego
Wow.
for MS.
Did you make it?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
a couple times.
All right.
But they would play at the finishing line. I would expect them to play "I Want to Ride My Bicycle," but like I think someone just put on the Queen's Greatest Hits. So when I showed up and when I finally like got some like food in me and sort of like sobered up a little bit from being road drunk a little bit, the first song I heard was "Fat Bottom Girls." And I was like, "This is a really weird choice to be playing at the end of like."
What are they saying?
They're
about
trying to
me?
tell you, trying to give you a message there.
That's
Dude,
right.
I was in great. That's when I used to live. I lived in Long Beach. I lived about 16 miles away from where I work, and I would ride my bike to and from work every day. Like I was in amazing shape at that point.
Yeah, you were. You looked
Yeah.
awesome.
I was in really good shape. Todd wanted to do me.
So when I slept at your place, you had this love seat that I tried to use as a bed. So it was so fun. My knees made it to the edge of it, and the rest of it just kind of hung off.
Yeah,
But that was your very spacious 2-story, 600 square foot.
it was a
dig.
converted garage. It was in Long Beach for real estate. It's fucking ridiculous, and
Yeah.
parking is atrocious.
They
and,
probably called
yeah.
it a loft.
I'm sure. But yeah,
Yeah, it was. I think they called it a mother-in-law suite because it was detached from the main house. It was like, but it was the old garage that they basically just converted into this apartment.
A servant's
And
quarters.
the servants. But was it really like 600 square feet? Was that the true size, or was it smaller than that?
it might have been smaller than that. It was pretty small.
It was impressive. But
Yeah,
for 3 people for an evening or two, it was fine.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad for 2 people.
Yeah,
you
it
know.
worked out. I went to the Griffiths
Neither is
Observatory on that trip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she and I did that for that day.
Oh nice. Sorry, what was that, Maya? What I totally missed?
I'll let Maya say it.
Say
He
it
said
again.
it wasn't bad for 2 people, and I said neither is Adam.
We've been fully open and honest about my being a slut on this podcast. It doesn't embarrass me.
It's so true.
Anyway, hey, I'm Brian. I'm a sound designer based out of Southern California.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am, yeah. I got some shows coming up for Lyric. I am super excited today because both me and the set designer were under the impression they were going to do something for these shows, and I kept writing emails being like, this is a bad fucking idea, this is a bad fucking idea, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. They never responded, and then there was an email chain today being like, hey, we're doing this, which was the way I wanted them to do it. They're like, are you okay with this? And I'm like, I am doing cartwheels. This is going to be fine. I'm very excited
good.
about it. So finally, for once, they listen to their sound designer. Hooray! But yeah, so I'll be doing 4 shows. I will be in Utah designing for the entire month of June, which means we'll get to record some live episodes, which will be fun. You, our dear listeners, will probably not hear those until probably... So I'll be there in June, so you probably won't hear those until July, because we're going to try to get a little ahead, because frankly, I will be very busy while I'm in there. And when I am not working, I want to be able to hang out with these lovely gentlemen you hear before you.
Are we going to have
also just a...
2.0?
We should.
I've thought about that. I think we should.
And
Because we didn't get to take Maya with us last time, and I think we should see if we can get Kat and Jimmy to come
Yeah,
with
the
us as
force
well.
of
I think
nature
it'd be
that
fun.
is Miss Cat Martin.
Yeah, and I'm actually
Yeah.
Hurricane Cat, as I call
Hurricane
it.
Cat. Yeah. And I might actually be able to fit on the Ninja this time because I couldn't last time. That's like my favorite ride there. So.
Oh, all right.
I'm sure you could.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So
Ninja Samurai.
Samurai. Yeah, Samurai.
I like the Samurai.
Ninjas at Magic Mountain, or it was. I don't know if it's still there or not.
All right.
Six Flags.
Same ride, just a.
So Samurai was have you ever been on Batman the Ride?
Oh no, I know what Samurai
Yeah.
is.
No,
Yeah,
no,
the Batman.
Batman the Ride at
Yes.
Magic Mountain. It's like that, but you're fully enclosed like in a car, but it's a hanging car. And it doesn't do loops. But it was like when they got the idea to do Batman the Ride.
Sure.
So
Which is funny because you have to say Batman the Ride there, because Batman the Ride at every different Six Flags is a different ride.
really, I wasn't aware of that.
I love that one. My best memories of that is I went with my older sister and a group of college kids from Logan to Six Flags Magic Mountain over New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
Was this in California?
We went to California. So a bunch of Logan, Cache Valley people.
I've lived here for 10 years and I've still never been to that
That's so
park.
much fun.
It's really good, but I will have to say, when you're a bunch of kids used to Utah inversion and winters in Cache Valley,
Oh yeah.
you go to Magic Mountain and they're all dressed in parkas because it's like 60 degrees. No one was there. Over the course of 2 days, we rode 47 roller coaster rides. And we were physically beat up and exhausted because nobody's there. The Giant, their big one, I rode in the front seat for 5 cycles because there was no one there to replace me. And you want to go again? Yes. And after that, I'm like, I think I'm done. But the Batman was awesome. The Riddler, less so.
So the Riddler was fun because the Riddler's one where you have to stand up.
Yes.
And
my balls got pinched.
And what happened to me is because when you hop in, like the back seat that clamps around you, it's you can move it up and down.
Right.
Oh, look, I went all the way up and it locked.
Oh.
And so I was like, yeah, it was not fun.
You were riding on it, but my balls got pinched. I mean, it was like the ultimate vibrator if you're a chick or something. I bet it's great. But
I should go on it now.
See, you should like going all over. But for me, I'm like, I'm not doing this again.
And Adam's like, let's go again.
I could offer smoking a cigarette.
That's
the Batman coaster at Six Flags in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah,
was one of the when they first started doing the like your feet dangling roller coasters where it's suspended above you or where the track is above you. That was one of those. So yeah, that's why I was like, which Batman ride? Because they're different in every park.
Sure.
Also, I just want to throw in one little bit of housekeeping for those of you who subscribe and listen to the show frequently. If you happen to go to our website to actually download the episode, and I'll put a little blog post on this, we are no longer sourcing our audio from that website. It's lovely. It still exists, and we're putting all sorts of other fun things on that website, so please go back and visit. But we're now sourcing our audio from from our Podbean account, mainly because the source that we're using for our website only lets you have 100 posts. So we lost, as we added posts, we were losing older posts, and that's fine and great. But we're not time sensitive, so we figured might as well give everyone access to everything, even the stuff where we probably are like, man, I wish we hadn't have done that. It's still there. So yeah, just so you're aware, so like that's where all that is linked out. But we've created some new stuff on there, try to streamline a little bit of our recipes. Also, I've added in a new quotes page. So the horrible things that we say on this, we're putting in the highlights so that you can sit there and look at some of the horrible things we've
You
said
are brave enough
on the show.
Brian. You are brave enough.
I am brave enough to post that kind of thing?
Because
we don't use our last names. It may not come up in the job interview. I don't know.
It's like, people say, like, I always used to say this podcast is why you couldn't run for office. Then I look who's in the top office, and I'm like, no, it's not any reason
you
at all.
You could be king. You could be king. You would be fine.
Because we're actually being satirical about everything we're talking about on here.
Yes.
But yeah, so let's actually jump into what we're talking about today. So we are doing Ant-Man, Second Chance Man. This is, as we discussed earlier, if I left it in, this started out as sort of a new run. This is, from Maya, you can verify this for me if I'm wrong or right. This sort of seemed to be a way of angling the comic book Ant-Man to be a little more similar to the Ant-Man you see in the films, at least attitude and backstory-wise, sort of.
Nope, this doesn't change a thing having to do with him. This has always been in Scott
really?
Lang.
This is kind of all So anyway, so yeah, this is...
Yes,
so this is Scott Lang as Ant-Man, not Hank Pym, not some other people. They do make some funny references to other Ant-Mans as well. But as we start with every episode, let's start out with our drinking game rules.
And now for sports.
Listen up, sports fans. Prepare yourself and your liver for this week's drinking game. Remember, it's only a game, and a dumb one at that. So don't take it too seriously. And above all else, please drink responsibly.
Mr. Todd, what is your drinking game rule?
Dude, it's the only suit I own. So every time as you're reading the comment and he's not doing superhero Ant-Man things, and yet you're still wearing the outfit, and then he makes reference to it, but you realize, yeah, that's all the clothes he's got. So
They must smell wonderful.
it must be awesome.
Those pim particles are self-cleaning. Don't you know that?
They're self something. So you need to take a drink as he's wearing the suit, but not being the superhero.
Mr. Maya.
Mine's called Don't You Know? I Did Hard Time. Basically, anytime he mentions that he was in prison for his criminal past, take a drink.
Mine is called Think of the Children, which is whenever Cassie, his daughter, is mentioned, take a drink. And Mr. Adam, what is your drinking game rule?
So mine's called Look What I Can Do, or if you're a fan of Mad TV, Look What I Can Do. Every time Ant-Man shrinks or gets bigger, take a drink.
Also known as going in and out of cold water.
Shrink. It was cold.
I was in the pool.
The pool. It was cold.
I need to go back and watch that again. I haven't seen that. I mean, I've seen episodes, but I've actually watched the whole series.
No, really,
Yeah.
the best episode has to be the Beefarino. For me, hands down.
I always kind of like the Chinese restaurant. That was the one that always stuck out in my head for some reason.
For me, it's Beefarino. Kramer was great.
Yeah, until I went all crazy.
Shit.
Yeah, not so satirical.
No,
Which means he could be president.
true.
Yeah, if that's not a... Yeah, I mean...
Or at least the governor in the South.
Well, that's always been a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will move on to our grades our votes. This is where we're jumping way far ahead if we do that. So this is where we basically say, hey, you know what? This is worth our dear listeners' hard-earned time, money, energy to seek out this book and read it and possibly drink along to it.
So I've been asked by the judge to be the foreman. And I want y'all to know that we's gonna run a fair jury and a clean jury.
It's time for a vote. Because we love you. And we don't want to waste your money. We will now vote on whether this week's book is fit for human consumption by you, our dear listener. Along with each vote, our panel will also provide one piece of evidence to support their vote.
Vote for Pedro. Do you expect me to talk?
Vote for Pedro.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. There is nothing you can talk to me about that I don't already know.
What is your grade, Mr. Todd?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, do it. Nick Spencer's funny and fun. And it's a good time. And yeah, do it.
Cool. Mr. Maya?
Also, yes. If you just want a fun... To me, just like it seems like Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to be the palate cleanser to Infinity War, this was the palate cleanser for Deadpool Max.
I was hoping this would make up for it a little bit because I think I recommended this one as well. So this might be part of my penance for Deadpool Max. I'm still apologizing to everyone.
As well, you should.
Yes, I'm very sorry.
To comb the hair of all our butt hair before that one's over.
I want mine braided.
Yes.
French braided.
I'll have to look that one up on YouTube to figure out if I can French braid butt hair. I don't know if I want to do that internet search, though. That might be a little terrifying.
To save search on.
Speaking of safe
Siri,
search.
can you French braid butt hair?
Okay, and Mr. Adam, what is your vote?
Definitely yes. It's a lot of fun. It's lighthearted. It kind of embodies what we because this is the first Ant-Man book I've read, but so I've known the character more from
there aren't many.
Yeah, I know the character more from the movie, and it really hits the same feeling I got from that. So it's a lot of fun.
Do we have any forewarnings going into this, or should we just go to break and then we'll start spoiling the shit out of it?
And it's fun. It's lighthearted. It's a good book. I mean, there's not much really to discuss too much because it's like a very bare bones plot.
It does reference Apple.
It does.
It does, and it also has a lot of. It explains a lot of its own backstory. So it is. If you ever, it's actually not a bad introductory comic, to be honest with you. It's a little bland, to be honest, but
we'll get to that.
But it's fun. It's very like. This is not necessarily a bad one for like a newer reader to comics. It might be not.
It's
a bad
like
one,
a Quaker Oats rice cake.
But maybe the chocolate one that kind of tastes like chocolate, but not really. Like it's fun. It's okay. You're kind of being healthy, but you're feeling like you're being a little naughty on your diet. It's kind of like that. Yeah.
Yes. It's the Quaker Oats rice cake. Chocolate
comic books.
Actually, those are really good.
The chocolate ones?
The little mini ones.
The little mini
they got cheese ones. They got the caramel ones. They got the apple cinnamon ones. They're
But
really
like
good.
those 3-inch ones,
Yeah.
not so much.
The chocolate buttholes.
I like the ones like this big.
Yeah,
Are you
no,
talking
no,
about
no.
the
I'm talking about
chocolate
like
I
that.
don't like the big ones. I like the small ones.
Okay.
Just like
So is that your preference, the small ones?
I like average sized.
Average size?
Average sized rice cakes.
Okay.
All
But
of
if
all
they're
of my
extra
butthole.
large, there's no...
You're not compensating for anything with your rice cakes?
Your thing?
No, I'm just like, where am I supposed to put that? It's not going to fit anywhere.
Sure.
amateur.
You're just not brave enough. Moving on.
Like the cheese grater dildo. There it is. It's a cheese grater. It looks like a dildo.
Oh, that's disturbing. It's kind of like the Predator. If
I said
it was a
it's
deal.
a great way for, if you've got some build up or some stains that you just can't get off. Just do that.
Just go right there, like a
For
pet
those
egg.
hard to reach places.
It's hard to reach places or something like that.
Yeah.
Tough to remove film.
Okay, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we'll jump into talking about this comic. I swear we'll try, and we'll spoil it. So this is your warning. This is your chance to go read it. We all say you should read it. It's fun, despite our descriptions already of it being slightly bland, which is not necessarily inaccurate. It's a fun book. And it's definitely worth reading. I'm okay having it on my bookshelf.
No, it's not bland. It's not like it's not one of those like life changing. It's like Lando. It's not life changing. It's just fun to read.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, valid. Okay, that's a little nicer way of saying it. So we will play a little ditty, and then we will see you on the flip side.
I love ditties.
Me too.
P. Diddy.
No.
Bad boy for life.
If you have yet to read this week's book and would like to read it now, press pause. Go ahead. We'll wait.
Who doesn't love titties?
I love them. I don't even like. I mean, I'm not attracted to them, but I still love them.
Brian's got the best story about his. You were in North Carolina at the bar, and someone was like talking about a dream or a vision, or they were drunk.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. So this is good. Yeah, so it was this guy named Daniel. He was Spanish. He was from Spain, and he was really drunk. And he comes up and he goes, "You know what I want? I want a world full of tits, so that I can punch them. Well, not so much punch them, but lightly slap them and watch them jiggle."
Oh my god!
And I was like, I'm like, I want that too.
Yeah, we all want that.
Talk about living the dream.
I know, right?
The dream.
So welcome back. Pretty simple, straightforward plot. I'll try to throw in as much detail as possible, and then people will say if I missed anything important. Start out with Scott Lang doing some sort of breaking and entering of some kind. He's sitting there trying to say, hey, wait a minute, no, this is going to be all okay. They show him in a job interview. Tony Stark shows up in this job interview as the job interview is not going well, and Tony Stark says, oh, and you get a lot of backstory. You find out that he was a thief, and he's trying to go straight. He got married. The wife wanted things, so he started stealing some more. He got busted. That also led to his wife divorcing him. So then he was in prison, and no longer married. He gets out of prison. His daughter ends up getting sick. He ends up going and stealing the Ant-Man suit and fighting with a guy named Darren Cross. Darren Cross.
Yeah, Darren Cross.
Yeah, same name of the villain from the movie as well, but slightly different guy. And so they end up fighting, which part of what he ended up doing to save his daughter. He goes back and apologizes for stealing the Ant-Man suit. They allowed him to keep the Ant-Man suit. He was part of a bunch of different superhero teams, isn't anymore. This is the point in time in which Tony Stark shows up at the interview, says, hey, guess what? You're not really going to be part of this. And then he says, no, come on, man, I need a job. He's like, okay, well, you can come to the job interview. So you then see him, he picks up his daughter, takes him home. You see that he and his ex-wife don't get along too terribly well, and she's upset at him. So then he's at home, and then you see him at the job interview. They have a bunch of tests that Tony Stark's put together, and he gets to the end and makes himself puke into his helmet so that they can call off the interview, and they're going to do it again the next day. So then he breaks into Tony Stark's home in order to try to get the information. Tony Stark is about to be seduced by the Beetle.
So, Blue Beetle, though. I thought Beetle.
No, that's not Blue Beetle. It's the Beetle.
Yeah,
the Beetle. That happened to be
Beetle
blue?
is DC. No, she's purple.
Oh, I'm colorblind, so I don't give.
Yeah, the costume is purple.
Okay,
Purple
so
and
it's a
green.
purple costume, but I don't see the red part. So I just looking at that, going, "What? I thought that was like DC thing."
Yeah. No. Okay. So anyway,
so that was my
Well, I was with you though. I kind of just associated the two together because
we all know that Disney's going to buy Warner Brothers and they'll get Marvel. I mean DC. So
that's next year's.
That's next year.
That's just so they can get Bendis back.
Yeah.
Sure.
Bendis is like shit.
Yeah. I got out and then they pulled me back in.
That's right.
So anyway, while Tony's in the other room getting busy, he ends up getting the code. Confetti goes off, and guess what? He just won the job interview because you actually did everything it takes to break into Tony Stark's place to get all the message. And then turns out the Beetle's an assassin. She tries to kill Tony Stark. Ant-Man helps save him, and then Tony Stark turns into Ant-Man, Iron Man, then goes after her himself. He goes home to tell his daughter that he got the job. He's all super excited about it. But just at that point in time, he finds out that his daughter and ex-wife are moving to Florida, and he's not going to see his ex-wife anymore. So he makes himself small, and he hides in his daughter's backpack so he can go to Miami as well, at which point in time he ends up getting a dollhouse to live in, and he hangs on the roof. And that is the end of episode issue 1. We start with issue 2 with a giant guy in a bear suit trying to attack Ant-Man. Ant-Man
this is where I got excited.
I am the bear, so
that's true. Ant-Man helps him. Ant-Man helps him realize.
He's awesome.
Yeah. Ant-Man helps him realize, the wrong guy. I was dead at the time that whatever Ant-Man put you in.
Dead at the time.
I was dead at the time. Was my fault.
Comics.
So then Ant-Man flashes back to how he ended up in that room in the first place. He was going in for a job interview, or not job interview. He's trying to get a loan for small business, start his own security firm, since like that was what Iron Man was about to make him do. He breaks into this bank and he basically turns off all their power, which opens up their vault, and you find out that there was a Nazi robot who was supposed to hide gold. And hidden in the basement. So he goes and he saves the day, at which point in time, havoc ensues, fight, he saves the day. The owner of the bank decides to go in 50-50 partners with him on his security firm because she says they have to stick together, and he finds out, like, she sort of mentions that she was the one who trapped the thing there in the first place. And then he tells his daughter that he got the job. Then you go back through, and the Grizzly guy's coming after Ant-Man. Ant-Man decides to give him a job because, he figures he got to help out an ex-con. And then at the very end, you see Taskmaster, which you will later learn if you don't know that's our Taskmaster. You will see that it is in the next issue. But they are sitting on top of his billboard, which he's super proud of, but has a sniper rifle and is going to take out Ant-Man. So then we go and we have the doctor who saved Ant-Man's daughter early on, or the whole story where he originally got the suit. She is being held at gunpoint, and then Ant-Man is setting up a security system for people to guard their paper clips. He's hanging out with his daughter. His daughter is a terrible drummer, but she's going to go to the talent show. His wife's upset, or his ex-wife's upset because he has a billboard. And then Taskmaster comes in, the security system he put together that would help even defend from him. Apparently, Taskmaster has all the paper clips and was trying to defend him. You get a little backstory on Taskmaster, been a general pain in the ass. They fight. Taskmaster ends up sort of holding him hostage while they go and kidnap his daughter. So that leads us into the next one where you realize that the reason why the doctor is there is because Darren Cross, his son, is trying to bring him back to life because that was the doctor who helped save him in the first place. So then we're going into issue 4, which I'm going to point out my favorite cover in this entire thing and the basis for my cocktail this week because I fucking love that cover. It's the Miami Vice Ant-Man cover.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me super happy. Like, I want to find that issue and I want to frame it and put it on my wall because it just makes me super happy. I think it's awesome. Anyway, Ant-Man is now going after Darren Criss to try to save his daughter. They basically are blackmailing the doctor, saying that she's gonna have 2 lives on her hands if she doesn't do it. He's looking for a way. Ant-Man's looking for a way to get in. The Bear Grizzly guy has a self-help group for former supervillains, so they're gonna go find this guy who is what's his name, Machine Smith, who can hack into anything. So he has Machine Smith come help him. They then break into try to get Darren Criss. A few jokes about his vehicle in there, blah, 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 blah. Breaks in, people try to shoot him, moving on. And then eventually Darren Criss crosses alive and he ends up stepping on Ant-Man. And then we have the end of that issue. Then, of course, the beginning of the next issue, he ends up going back to full human size, throwing Darren Criss back. The doctor says that she's trying to save his daughter's life, so he keeps fighting Darren Cross. I think I called him Darren Criss, but Darren Cross. And so he's trying to distract him. He ends up throwing him out, getting a bunch of ants to sort of attack him and cover him. And then eventually they draw him outside of the building. And then at one point in time, so he's sort of defeated Darren Cross for the time being. His daughter's not doing so well, so he shrinks down to molecular size so he can go through and fight the white blood cells so the antibodies will work or something or other, and ends up saving his life. So he ends up saving his daughter's life. His ex-wife shows up, is about to be all sorts of pissed off at him, and then the doctor covers for him and says that the girl had called her dad, and so her dad is the one who ends up saving her. And at the end, he decides that it's too dangerous for him to be hanging out with his daughter because he's going to put her in harm because he is a superhero and supervillains are out to get him. And that is the end of this volume of Ant-Man.
Bum, bum, bum.
So yes. And then, as I've learned from Aaron, wow, I'll get a name right.
Hey, Maya.
Dear God, I'm sorry. As I've recently learned from Maya, he doesn't. Actually, he might be a big comic reader. I don't know. But yeah, so this story gets continued on in the Amazing Ant-Man. Is that what you said?
Astonishing Ant-Man.
Astonishing Ant-Man. Because, you can't have a book at Marvel without alliteration. Hence our theme for this month, the Marvelous Marvel Movie Month of May. I think the thing is, it's a relatively bland, sort of straightforward plot as far as the book goes. I think what makes this book work is it's the sense of humor. It's actually kind of similar to some of the stuff I really liked about Deadpool, where it's a lot of the internal monologue and the sort of slightly ridiculous nature of superheroes. Like, it's a little tongue-in-cheek about the whole nature of superheroes. I mean, really, you have like the Grizzly sitting there joining him, like, because it's a guy in a bear mech suit who never gets out of the bear mech suit. Like, it's just a little bit slightly ridiculous. Yeah, like, it's not quite Grizzly Shark. It's not quite as over the top as that, but it sort of is on that line. It's sort of a loving little jab at the ridiculous nature of comic books, which is one of the things I kind of like about this book. And I want to see if anybody else felt similar to that.
So, you know what, as I was reading it, and with Tony Stark being played by Robert Downey Jr. in the movies, that might have influenced it, but this really reminds me a lot of the movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
You're going on right there. Instead of Gay Perry as a sidekick, you've got Grizzly Bear.
Gay Grizzly.
Yeah. Gay Grizzly going
we don't know if he's gay or not, but that would be a great subplot. Some nice sexual tension between the two of them.
I just kind of assumed, and that I am assuming his orientation, and that's not cool, but it was just kind of
the robot dude?
The Grizzly.
The Grizzly?
I didn't get that he was gay. I got the robot dude was gay.
Machine Smith?
Machine Smith? Gay, yeah. Sure, I could see that too. But it was a lot of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I mean, it was fun. It was lighthearted. It was, I'll get a critique later, but I do like Nick Spencer's point of view about a lot of things the way he writes. I have a good time with Nick. He's a funny guy. So it was nothing too deep, but I was always chuckling as I was flipping the page. And this is the kind of guy that I would love to go drinking with as much as anything else.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, Nick Spencer is either really hit or really miss with me, but he has hit the really hit more than he has the miss. But
sure,
when he does write something I don't like it. Like, it is.
What has he written that you don't like?
I wasn't a fan of Morning Glories.
Okay,
it was his one of his Image books.
What other stuff has he written that's been good? Because the name doesn't pop at me. I like this, but
I'm going to have one in my recommendations at the end, because it's not only a recommendation for us, but for the show.
Okay, as am I. So we're now, Maya and I are eyeing each other.
Show me while we're talking here.
Show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Right, but you need to make sure you have Panavision ready for mine. But yeah, back to Nick Spencer. His dialogue writing is a good time. A little bit of a challenging, I guess, with it. I'll go into it. Is he's very current references that I do not think will age well.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I think that would be my biggest challenge watching it. But I've never read an Ant-Man before. This is the only Ant-Man I've read.
Yeah.
And it's written in such a way it doesn't matter at all.
No,
and
it doesn't.
It's a good time. And it's going, hey, I recognize, there's elements from the movie talking about, like, character names, if nothing else. And it's enough of that there going, oh, I recognize this. Oh, I recognize that. And the movies are their own thing, and that's just fine. But as I'm going through this, I'm like, hey, this is a lot of fun. This is a good time. I mean, you have Tony Stark going, you're always looking for the easy and the shortcut, and most of the time it's just leaving, which is a little bit damning for the guy, but proves to be true. And it shows how he's down on his luck, and he's always trying to go for the easy fix, but he is a consistent character with his flaw. And I really like the guy for it, even though he's still, his heart is in the right place. He always has... Because the intention is, well, I did this bad thing, but, I was just trying to make her happy. I'm going to be down here. I need to be a good dad. It's like, and I think my favorite moment in the whole thing had to be with his daughter drumming. He's like, man, is this thing awful?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I had to shrink my ear canals.
I had to shrink my ear. You're like, Dad, what'd you think? He's like, I've never thought about drumming this way before.
Yeah, I've changed my perspective on things. And then I think the other one, my favorite was, like, when she said she's going to go play at the at this school. He's going to try to like sort of prep her for them not to applaud and be like, just be prepared. They didn't get the Stooges at the beginning with either. It's just like, yeah, okay. So that's trying to prep your kid for prepared for disappointment. And it kind of works because she was just like, I just don't think it was the right audience for it. You know what I mean? I also love the girl who comes up and goes, my parents hated your music. You want to hang out? Like, which I think is kind of fun as well.
No, that's good as well. And talk about such an awesome dad moment. I mean, he's the guy that's not always around. But when he is there, he's just trying to be the cheerleader for the kid. Or even that moment is like, and this is where I love my kid, when she makes a comment of how, Battle Royale is awesome because Hunger Games is a knockoff.
Ripped it off, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, and that's why my kid is awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cool. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best things about the character is like he is a very, very devoted dad. Like, because really look at it. The first issue, he has the dream job that would set him up and probably put him in a really good place to actually be able to care for his family and do whatever he needed to do. But as soon as his daughter is moving to Miami, he will drop all that in a second without even thinking about it and be gone. You know what I mean? And live in a plastic Barbie furniture and be perfectly happy with it. Just because he's close to his daughter.
Right. He has options. Like he always has financial issues, so. It's obvious money doesn't matter to the guy.
Yeah, no, it's just being around his kid is all he really cares about. Which is, it's kind of. I think it's one of the endearing things that makes his character work.
It really is. So, like, even when the ex-wife is he's like, "Danger, Will Robinson, ex-wife, what else is going on?" He's like, "I know I'm in trouble before I even start." That's good times.
Yeah, Adam, what are your thoughts? I haven't heard a lot from you yet.
It's hard to do this one because it's a fun book. It's an easy read. It's definitely, as you said, a palate cleanser from last week.
I'm sorry.
And you haven't said that enough.
And even though it doesn't, as Maya was saying, it wasn't written to kind of tie into the Ant-Man movies. If you've seen them, at least you're going to be familiar with the character. You're going to be familiar with kind of the backstory of where things came from. And this too also was my first Ant-Man book I've ever read, so I've never picked one up before. I don't know if it's a character I want to keep on reading more about, to be honest. Like I'm not like I wasn't at the end of the book like all excited to go see what the next one had to offer, but it was well written. It was funny. It had like cool little heist elements and stuff in it. I like the fact that the whole thing with Tony Stark while he's there trying to like break into his house was the test, which you kind of saw coming, which wasn't really a big surprise. But just he's like, oh my god, like as he's watching like Tony hook up a Beetle or about to hook up a Beetle. It was fun, and sometimes it's nice to have a fun book just to kind of escape for a half hour, an hour, and go back to dealing with your life.
I have a feeling about this book that I have a feeling you might be able to confirm if I'm right or wrong about it. This book for me on my shelf feels like similar to a couple books I was reading about. Some came out at similar times, one of which is Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, and the other one is the new run of Howard the Duck. Like it felt like they were funny books, but they were plot-wise a little bland. But it sort of felt like this run of Marvel books that was sort of like, yeah, they're fine. They weren't. There was nothing spectacular or groundbreaking about them. But like, is it just those three books that came out about the same time, or was that sort of a lot of the books at the time from the last couple of years?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure.
Okay,
I didn't really read Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I didn't care for the art in it,
and I agree with that. I think I totally understand that.
The same artist that did the first volume of Jughead for Archie, and I really liked that.
It's something about the way she draws Squirrel Girl's mouth is what's weird about that. Because the thing is, I like the writer. I think it's North, right, who writes that. I like Squirrel Girl. Like I have to sort of ignore the art a little bit on Squirrel Girl to really enjoy that book. But like, and it's funny, and it has like it's sort of a sense of humor sort of situation like this one is. But you're right, the art is sort of a hindrance on that book. Because the other problem is like you'll see the people who do guest covers, and you're like, Squirrel Girl looks so awesome in those. Why does she not look that awesome in this actual book? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then Howard the Duck, I didn't read either.
Okay.
Andrew did. Andrew Howard the Duck. I did not read Howard the Duck.
Easily, I read too many other things.
Well, okay.
Did you read it, Todd?
No, not at all.
I heard good things. It was Chip Zdarsky.
I really enjoy it. Like I said, it feels like those three books similar, and I didn't know if there's other books that were like it. It just felt like this thing of like sort of a bland plot but like funny jokes. You know what I mean? So it was like okay, it almost felt like a CW TV show. You know what I mean? Like it had a decent sense of humor, but like plot wise was not like groundbreaking or doing anything too extreme or too different. You know? So I don't know. Well, Maya, what are your thoughts?
Like we've said, there isn't much really to say about it. It is just a fun, turn your brain off story. I do like that Cassie is, the center of his world. It's everything he does revolves around his love for her. You know, and all this is post Young Avengers post. She had gotten aged and was stature on the Young Avengers, where she was like a giant man. She had pim particles. And then she had been de-aged. So this is all after that. Yeah, no, I just really enjoyed it. A lot of stuff. I did look it up. There are 3 trades of Astonishing Ant-Man after this.
Is that all, or is it still going?
No, it stopped. So there's, including this one, there's 4 total.
Okay.
But you do end up getting a lot more goofy, fun stuff with Grizzly and Machine Smith. They're all working, trying to, have a security company.
Yeah, see, like, I'm interested enough that I would actually go look for more. So that's just interesting. I would like to go, check it out. Well, I'm going to jump in with my cocktail. As I said earlier, I was really inspired by, there is a really great cover. I think it's for issue 4. That looks like Miami Vice. And so my cocktail is the Miami Vice. So what you're going to do is you're going to do 2 ounces of a daiquiri concentrate, like frozen daiquiri mix. You're going to do 2 ounces of a frozen pina colada mix. You're going to add the rum with whatever directions it says on the back of those things. So basically you're going to make 2 daiquiris separately. And then in a highball glass, you're going to pour them together, one on either side. So they sort of have like opposite sides of the glass and get sort of like a really cool, like sort of early 80s, mid 90s sort of tie-dye kind of effect. But that is the Miami Vice. Like, also, it's like, he's in Miami for most of the book. It's a nice, cool drink that you can drink by the pool while reading some Ant-Man. We're heading into that time of year. I mean, we're in California. It's already pretty warm. Utah will get there eventually, sort of.
I will say that Miami Vice cocktail is delicious. I've had that before, and I'm like...
Oh, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Is it called that before?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it's known as, and it is awesome. And,
okay.
It's like Cosmo good, but...
So it's one of those things that you enjoyed, but you don't necessarily want to order in public.
Sure, you make your girlfriend order it for you.
Or you only order it when you're on vacation and you don't know any of those people.
That's right.
Hey, Brian, if I get a white suit and a blue shirt and an Ant-Man helmet, will you dress up in a bear costume and a suit?
Awesome.
I think I could be talked into that. I think I really could. Adam, what is your cocktail?
So mine is called the Inner Space. And what you do is you take like any kind of glass you want. It's probably a bigger glass. This is a bit of a bigger drink. You can... dip the rim in corn syrup and then dip it in sugar, kind of get more of the sweet taste on it. And then in a shaker, you combine a third cup of vodka, a quarter cup of peach schnapps or peach liqueur, 1 cup of ruby red grapefruit juice. You shake the shit out of that and then strain it into the glass and garnish with a toothpick that you've speared some maraschino cherries and strawberries on.
Ooh, sounds nice.
Yeah, kind of fun and fruity and...
Yeah.
Kind of going like the red look.
Just like you.
I know, right?
Might as well call it the Atom.
Adam's Inner Space.
Adam's Inner Space sounds very zen, though.
It does.
That's kind of weird.
All right, so mine is called the Ant-Man Runner. So it is a slight play on the Rum Runner, which is also a very Miami type of a drink we've all kind of embraced here. So, and this violates the rules. You know how, like, you shouldn't mix more than 3 ingredients or 4 for a cocktail, unless you have the AMF and the Long Island. This falls under that violation.
It does.
Yeah.
So it's got an ounce of pineapple juice, an ounce of orange juice, an ounce of blackberry liqueur, an ounce of banana liqueur, an ounce of light rum, an ounce of dark rum, a splash of grenadine, and Bacardi 151 floater. So you're going to take that first group of ingredients, all but the Bacardi, shake the shit out of it, and you're going to pour it into a glass, and then you put a light thing of the Bacardi 151 floater on that. Then you can go ahead and get chocolate covered ants and crush them up, and then you sprinkle that over the top, and so you've got your Ant-Man Runner.
That actually looks really tasty, to be honest with you.
It also sounds like a lot of work.
It does sound like a lot of work. That's why you go to a bar.
So we have someone else make it.
You make someone else, and you can actually have it hard on the rocks, just on the rocks, or you can have it blended. And every time the bar says, "Oh, our blender's broken," those fuckers are lying to you. But on the rocks sounds pretty good too.
Mr. Mai, what is your cocktail?
Mine I'm calling the Grizzly. It's just a standard salted caramel martini. You take 2 parts of rum chata, and one part of caramel vodka. Rim a martini glass with salt.
Yeah, you do.
Don't use margarita salt, just regular table salt or sea salt's fine. And use water, not lime juice. Shake the ingredients with ice and strain it into a martini glass. And optional, if you're feeling a little crazy, drizzle a teaspoon of caramel sauce into the bottom of the glass.
What I love most is that you actually say the word caramel correctly.
Caramel?
Nope.
Caramel?
Nope.
Caramel.
It's caramel, so. But caramel vodka? Is that what you said?
Rum chata.
Rum chata.
Oh, and
What's
the
other
caramel
one?
vodka.
Where do you get caramel vodka?
The
That
liquor
sounds
store.
delightful.
They have like salty caramel vodka. The liquor store, I've seen it before.
Yeah, I've seen salty caramel, just straight caramel. I'm like,
I don't think I've seen I've only seen the salted variety.
no.
I'm of the salted variety.
You are
Apparently,
salty.
Yeah, you are.
That's what I've been told the last couple days.
On that note, I think it's probably time for final grades unless somebody else has something they want to say.
No,
I'm good.
Nope. Okay.
Jamie, school is never a waste of time.
Since we have 15 minutes until recess, please put down your pencils and stare at the front of the room.
It's report card time. It's report card time. It's report card time. I'm so fucking thugged.
God, please, no! 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 No!
Cool. So for Nick Spencer, our writer, what is your grade, Mr. Todd?
You know, it's a B. It was funny. It was not life-changing. I don't really care after reading the end of it, but I do not despise it in any way. I'm like, hey, this was a good time. Yeah, it's a B.
Mr. Adam.
I'm gonna go with a B+. It was a lot of fun to read. You did a great job about making you care about the characters, kind of see where they're coming from. I love like the constant narration in the back, almost kind of made it seem like it was a film noir, even though it wasn't, because obviously it didn't have the femme fatales and everything else. As Todd pointed out, it did definitely date itself. It's like, hey, look, they're at the Apple Watch, launch. So in that case, it's not going to be one that you're going to go back in like 20 years and be like, oh my god, this is like the pinnacle of comic writing back in the 2000s. But you don't always need that. Sometimes you want something just fun, entertaining, and that you can kind of sit back and be like, huh, I had a good time. And that's what it did.
Mr. Todd.
Well, I can give my grade again.
Shit. Mr. Maya, what's your grade?
No, you said Todd.
Well, so my grade is a B because it changed my life. There's nothing I want to read more. Nick Spencer is the god among men, and he owes me.
Fuck you with the words you wrote it on.
So I'm gonna give it a B+ as well. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, there really isn't anything bad you can say about it other than it's just a very by the numbers story, but it's a fun by the numbers story. So I'm gonna give it a B+.
It was an assignment. You did very well.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with everybody else and say it's a B+. It's like it is. Like as Todd described, it is a assignment he did very well. You don't necessarily get the sense that he had like a deep, loving, relationship with the character beforehand and wanted to do something completely different with it or do something interesting. It's not like The Visions by Tom King. You know what I mean? It's not breaking new ground, but it's fun.
What I will say though is there was little moments in there is like, hey Marvel, I did my homework. Because he has 3 throwaway lines going, and like the doctor did this. Really, they did it back in this issue over here.
Yeah.
I'm like, see, I did my homework, Marvel.
Well,
I read some
those
shit.
boxes are actually from the editor.
I know, but still, the writer knew enough, like had done his homework to throw these little things in there.
There really isn't a lot of history with Scott Lang. There isn't much homework to do.
Sure, and that's why the homework was related to the doctor he used.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it's like, look, I did my homework here.
Which is all, I think, from like his first couple of appearances.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's go for art for, I think we looked it up again. I think it's Ramon. Is that correct?
Ramon Rosanas.
I'm going to jump in and say I'm going to give him a good, solid B+. Like it's good art. It's solid art. I don't really have any complaints about it. It's just not groundbreaking, revolutionary, but it serves the book well, and I think it's fun. Mr. Todd.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Okay. He's going to ask for me twice.
I won't be in a minute.
Yeah, no, he'll ask you, then he'll ask Adam,
Yeah.
then he'll forget me and ask you again.
And then we'll ask for Paul.
That's an old one.
But it's still funny.
I don't get it.
I had a cousin.
I don't care.
Whose birthday was the day.
Well, that ended that one.
I'm sorry. Well, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Todd, what's your grade?
Feeling.
I also give the art a B. It served it well. At the same time, it felt like I was watching Saturday morning cartoons as I was the art with it. I mean, and once again, it served it well. It went along with the writing. I mean, this was an assignment, and they did the assignment quite well. The covers were probably the most fun of the stuff going on, but there was nothing to really complain. But it was like big, solid colors.
And the
everywhere.
covers were Mark Brooks, who has done a bunch of stuff lately, I think, for the Star Wars comics.
Well, and you know, when you're just doing the cover, you have a few more minutes to spend than on every single panel, and I give him that. But yeah, it was fine. It was a B.
Mr. Maya.
I'm also at a B+ with you. I don't think that's going to change throughout all of our grades. But yeah, I mean, nothing groundbreaking, but it conveyed the fun of the book, the tone of the book that they were trying to hit very well.
Cool. And Mr. Adam.
I'm at a B+ as well. It was fun. It was colorful. It was bright. It was interesting. It wasn't crazy or weird or have some kind of stupid fucking font when they're whispering or something like that.
Salty.
I know. Of all the flavors you could choose to be. No, it was a fun read, and the art definitely helped you move from panel to panel and see what was going on.
So what days do you choose to be umami?
Wouldn't you like to know? It's not so much the day as the time of day.
Fantastic. So then, for overall final grades, Mr. Maya.
B+.
Mr. Todd?
You know, there was some synergy there, so I give it B starfish.
B starfish, okay.
Fuck you.
I'm gonna give it, fuck it. I'll give it a B. Mr. Adam, what do you got?
I'm B+ as well. It was a fun book. Nothing I'm excited. I'm not gonna excited to see what happens next, and I probably won't pick it up and read it again if ever. But I'm glad I read it. I had a fun time. So,
and my only variation is I am actually interested in what happens next. I'll probably go pick up those other 3 trades and check out what happens.
I recommend Deadpool. My job.
I know. My taste is in question. I get it. I will make up for it at some point in time. I feel bad. Like, my recommendation for this week is a comic book. And I'm like, no one's going to fucking believe me. Like, at all.
Yes.
No.
Electric Boogaloo.
No, but speaking of Electric Boogaloo, next month we are going to be doing Pride 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Hey.
So for episode 112 coming out on June 4th, we're going to be doing Iceman. The first volume, is that thawing out, Adam?
I think it's thawing out, yeah.
Then episode 113 on the 11th, we're going to be doing Fogtown, which I'm very excited about reading. 114, we're going to be doing on the 18th. It's going to be America, Volume 1. That is a superhero who teams up with Kate Bishop, if I remember correctly, also known as Hawkeye, correct?
I mean, she's just a superhero that's just shown up in the last few years. She was on Jamie McKelvey's Young Avengers. She was in Ultimates.
Okay. I think maybe it's the writers doing the Kate Bishop, because when I bought it online, they recommended the Kate Bishop Hawkeye, and I'm like, I like Hawkeye, I like Kate Bishop, I'll buy that trade as well. So I think that's where the two are associated. And the back of the Hawkeye mentions her, so I don't know how much it is, but so yeah. And then, of course, so we're doing something slightly different for 115. The trade of this is not out yet, but we're going to read all the individual issues. This is the Snagglepuss comic. Exit Stage Left will be the name of the trade. So the trade will be coming out, I believe we figured out in August, which will be during our Andy Wilson month, but it seems to be a fun, interesting book to do for our Pride Month. So we're going to be reading it in actual individual issues. Our first verse here on the show, kids.
I would say this would be barring any delay for the final issue.
Yeah, since we're doing it at the end of the month is to hopefully get all of them. Although we're recording this early, so hopefully that all works out. But we'll see how that all goes. Because I will be busy, very busy at that point in time for that month. So that's our Pride 2. Adam, was that order correct?
Sounds about right. I mean, honestly, the books can be read in any order. They're not like a story or chronological.
Yeah, cool. And also, as always, if you want to find our upcoming books, we're planning on doing what we know of so far. I normally post it on the website. You can link to it on the main page. It's the Coming Soon attraction, and you can see all the books we're looking at doing. And if you want to suggest a book, there's a link to do that as well. You can contact us, or you can email me at funnybooksandfirewater@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you if you have any suggestions of books you want to do. Speaking of which, we don't know what we're doing in July yet. We're going to have to talk about that at the end of this episode. But in August, we're doing Andy Wilson month, so he gets to pick all the books because we sort of neglected him when we did March Madness. We apologize to Andy.
So he gets his own month.
He gets his own month. It's his birthday month, so he's picking out all the books. Also, just because we love Andy in general, so we're doing an Andy Wilson month, and hopefully he gets to join us for 2
days. Do they all have to be books that are currently in print?
I hope so.
That might be hard for Andy because Andy loves some old school stuff. So yeah, it might be. We might need to do the caveat that we need to be able to find them to be able to read them. Anyway, so that being said, who has recommendations?
Oh, I do.
Oh, you
actually, let me let Todd go first.
Okay, Todd, why don't you go first?
Ours are connected in more ways than Todd may think.
Ooh.
So whenever I hear the I do, I always go back to Super Troopers, and the line goes to my brain. Who wants mustache ride? I do. So, as much fun as Nick Spencer was, and I really did enjoy this, even though, the B Starfish grade is evident of such, is he's got another Image comic called The Fix, where it's a bunch of private eyes and a beagle.
Yeah.
I've got the 2 trades of that. That's a lot of fun as well. I really dig it. If you like this kind of writing and humor from Nick Spencer, you should really check out The Fix. And the second thing I'm going to...
Well, who was the artist on that?
I can't remember.
Steve Lieber.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're the man.
Oh, so this is the connection I'm seeing what's going on here.
The on a side note, away from that, is Fun Home at Salt Lake Acting Company. We actually did that book, a year plus ago?
We did it for, I think we did it a while ago.
We did it for the month that lost all our listenership.
All our listenership. Yeah, the month where we did all the really depressing books. Yeah, we did that in March of 17. Yeah, that's when we did that.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, man, that was the slit your wrist month.
Yeah, it was. So, the Salt Lake Acting Company is doing Fun Home, and by the time this comes out, their run will have ended, but it was pretty awesome. So, yeah, support Salt Lake Acting Company.
I saw it on tour, too. It's actually a really good show. It's a depressing as hell book to make a musical out of, but musicals, if you actually look at them, have some really depressing stories behind them, but that's a totally different issue.
Sure. It's so they can emote.
They emote the shit out of that one. Okay, cool. Mr. Maya, go ahead.
So my recommendation is also from Nick Spencer and Steve Lieber. It was Superior Foes of Spider-Man.
Oh, I've read that.
This is a book that was going on when Doc Ock was Spider-Man, even though he's rarely in the book. But Boomerang decides to form the new Sinister Six, even though there's only 5 of them. But the name is the Sinister Six, so that's what they go by.
Yeah.
It also has the new Beetle in it, which was who we saw in this book. It's just a fun book with a bunch of bumbling idiot supervillains. And I actually own one of the pages from it. I bought it from Steve when he was here a couple years ago, and it's one of my favorite comic pages of all time.
Well, that's very cool.
Awesome.
It's controlled housing.
Okay, well,
it's rent controlled.
So, because I know my taste is going to be in question since I did Deadpool Max, I'm going to recommend something that was recommended to me by Maya. So it's already been recommended on the show, and that's fine and great. However, I know we've all had those occurrences where someone has told you, hey, you really should read this book, and you take your sweet time getting around to it, and then you finally get around to it, like, why did I wait so long to read this? That's what happened to me over the last couple of days. I finally got around to reading, and I've read the first 2, I have 1 more to go, of
I know what it is.
The Southern Bastards.
Yes.
And it's awesome. Especially, Todd, you like Scalp, right?
Yeah, Jason Aaron's great.
Yeah, then you would like this book for sure. Like, it scratches that itch that Scalped kind of left when it ended. So I'm a big fan of it. The other thing that, for me personally, that's kind of fun is I have a very deep connection to the Carolina Panthers. I won't go into details on this show. And the second trade, the introduction, is actually done by one of the linebackers for Carolina Panthers, so that made me pretty happy as well. I'm going to recommend that. I had something else I'm going to recommend, but no one's going to believe me, so I'm going to wait.
Go for it. No, go for it.
Do it. You.
I enjoy it, but it's an interesting thing that's going on. And I'm reading it out of order, so that'll be a little interesting as well. But basically, I just read also this week the 3 trades that Jeff Lemire did of Moon Knight. And so what I understand of the backstory is that Ellis took the Moon Knight character and said, this guy's crazy, all of his secret identities are actually voices in his head, and ends up putting him into a mental institution. Then Jeff Lemire takes over the writing and says, is he really crazy, or is there a weird subplot sort of control thing going on with it? And he explores that for 12 issues. And so I read the Jeff Lemire issues, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting way of reading a character. I kind of wish I knew about the Ellis stuff beforehand, so I could have read it all in order. I'm going to be reading the Ellis stuff probably this week, and I will probably report back to you later on that. But I'm a sucker for Jeff Lemire. But I thought it was a really interesting way of playing with an existing character and sort of playing with issues of their mental health, because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. So, but as we all know, my taste is currently in question. So,
here's because we talked about this the other day. So you're like, you should read it. It's really good, and I don't doubt the writing is good.
Yeah,
I've tried over and over and over to care about Moon Knight, and I just don't. I've read Bendis's whole run. I read about half of Charlie Houston's run. I read part of another run. It's a character that Marvel seems to try to get us to like, and I just can't get into.
They're trying to make Moon Knight happen, and Moon Knight's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mean Girls. Good grief.
I guess for me, I think this would be an interesting film because it's also very meta about films and stuff like that. So like it would be a very interesting movie for Marvel, the MCU, to make because you could actually make self-referential comments in it about the Marvel universe as well. So I think that would be very interesting.
But we have that. It's called Deadpool.
Moon Knight meets Deadpool.
Well, they're like in this. They're literally making a superhero movie of Moon Knight in it. Like that's
really?
part of what's going on. Yes, and so one of his identities is a film producer who is producing a movie, and then he sometimes flashes into it. Like it's a very interesting book to read because it flashes between these different personalities. So the story is sort of like. It opens up. It's like one of those movies where you see like the person's having a dream and they open one door and enter in a completely different scene. It's kind of like that. Like he goes through one place and then ends up in a different place and then ends up in a different place. And so I think it's very interesting that way. Just the way it plays out, I think is a fascinating sort of thing.
So if that was made into a movie, it's got to star Nick.
No, I don't think so.
No, it'd be awesome.
No.
Nick Cage would act the shit out of that.
He would, but he's a little too old now. That's the problem.
Never.
He's young in our hearts.
He is young in our hearts.
Speaking of young in our hearts, Adam, do you have any recommendations?
Actually, yeah. So it came out about a month or two ago. There's a video game called Fire Emblem Warriors, and this is based on a series that's been going since like 1990. Normally, it's like a tactical RPG where you have to move your character on the map and like kill people and stuff. But there was a game that's been out around forever called Dynasty Warriors, where basically you're like a shogun or a samurai warrior taking on hordes and hordes and hordes of enemies.
Oh, hordes!
So people who made that combined.
I think you said hordes.
Hordes, yes.
Hordes of enemies. Hordes of enemies.
One of your characters is a dancer.
That is one way to piss off your enemy. You keep taking down their horse.
I know, right?
We're so mad at you. You keep taking down my horse.
So it takes the.
Sorry, Adam.
It takes the characters that have been kind of going through this whole game series for the last 27 years, throws in the mechanics of you versus an army of thousands. But one of the cool conceits of this game is if you play it one way is that if a character dies in battle, they're gone for the rest of the game.
Oh wow!
So unless it's like one of like the two main characters who have to survive because the whole plot revolves around them, you lose them. You can't get them back. So you can turn that off or on, but it's a lot of fun. It actually is pretty strategic. If you've been playing the Fire Emblem games for a long time, there's a lot to love there. Kind of ties all their different stories and universes together. But it's really cool. So I've been having a lot of fun with it lately.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Nice. I remember playing Dynasty Warriors 4
on the PS2.
And that was...
Yep, I put the demo for that.
A few years ago.
Yeah, this one just came out on the Switch. So it's kind of fun because you can like take it with you wherever you go and spend 20 minutes kicking the crap out of 1,000 people and then go on with your life. So
nice.
Cool. So that'll probably do for this. Sorry, I walked away to go grab my copy of next week's book to make sure I was talking about the right book. So that's why I stepped aside. I haven't a long enough headphone cable on though. That was pretty cool. I could actually walk far enough to my to be read pile to do it. Speaking of which, by the way, useless factoid I figured out. For those of you who have used the CLZ app that Todd and I use to keep track of our comic books, we used to put a location on it as the to be read pile so that we would know which books we need to read or not. In a recent update, they now will let you search by whether or not you have read it or not because you can use the little red tab. And so I've been using that recently, which has been awesome because now I don't have to put in the to be read pile. Eventually, I'm going to actually sort of make a logical way of putting all together where all my comics are and that kind of thing. But that's when I have time to organize shit and things like that.
You're such a nerd.
Yeah,
fucking nerd.
Dude, I do 2 podcasts based on reading. I'm a fucking nerd. I've earned those street cred right there at that point in time.
But no, you're like, ooh, I have extra time. Let's play with the database. Says the fucker that does.
I know, but there's something fucking fun about a database.
There is something really satisfying about it.
This is what
oddly satisfying.
So a little inside scoop into us. So about once every 3 or 4 months, Todd and I start sending screen caps back and forth at each other of our CLZ app. We'll sit there and go, hey, look, this is how many I have. And we'll ask random questions of each other, how many do you have of this author, or how many do you have of this character? And we will go search in the database and send screen caps of how many. The other day, the conversation was how much of my comic books collection was Deadpool. So I send him a screen cap of how many of my comic books I owned are actually Deadpool comics. Weird shit like that.
And you picked that one for us to read?
God damn it. had no good excuse. Like, I had a logic at the time, but I was wrong. I was just flat out fucking wrong. I really was. And so, yeah, I got nothing.
So I love how we have data-driven dick measuring comparisons going on. It's awesome.
I was telling my wife about our conversation about how many comic books we have. I'm like, hey, I don't know if I should say the number on there, but I'm like, Todd broke a certain number of comics. And she's like, oh, he's almost catching up to you. I'm like, what makes you think I have more comics than that? And she goes, you do, don't you? And I was like, got like 150 more than that. But yeah, I have no idea.
Yes.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But so I think that'll do it for this week. So next week we start our Pride 2 Electric Boogaloo month with Iceman thawing out. Adam, have you read this before? Has anybody read this before?
Yes, I read it. I read the individual issues when it first came out, so I definitely need a refresher. But
okay,
it's basically it's Iceman. This is they kind of retconned it. They had the first class come from the 60s and 70s when the X-Men first started to the present time. Jean Grey, the new Jean Grey, because the old Jean Grey's dead, is talking to him about how the fact that, oh, well, you're gay. And he's like, no, I'm not. She's like, I can read your thoughts, and we've all known this for a long time. And so it just kicks off then with his trying to reconcile being Iceman in this new world that he's not even used to because he's from a different time, but also how to go about being as an out gay man. So like the first issue is he's fighting bad guys in between creating like his Grindr account and also trying to figure out how to tell his parents. And I believe he ends up dating a main character's son. I have to go back and read it. But
is this the run where he eventually ends up married?
I don't believe so, no, because I didn't read the whole run. I only read the first couple of issues. Like they ended it after, I think, 12 issues, I want to say, or was it 15?
It was 12.
Yeah.
And he didn't get married.
Yeah, no, he didn't get married.
Okay.
But no, it's lighthearted, it's fun, and I remember reading the first couple of issues, and it was cool to be like, oh, this is a character like me in a comic book. Obviously not shooting ice and turning into like a frozen statue.
But you can't do that? I thought you could.
Well, that's like when I get to level 29 game. I'm level 28.
Okay. I got the vegan powers?
You're low level gay?
I have to hit like 4 digits on my hookup level reader to get
Is that why Neil Patrick Harris is so powerful?
Oh, he's like at 6 digits now.
Yeah, holy shit, yeah. He's got some gay powers for sure.
Remember, as he said, make it bigger.
So, no, but it was, from what I remember, it was fun. It was, but also dealt with some kind of important issues, and especially about, your family finding out you're gay. Coming out is a huge issue, and especially with families sometimes, so.
Fantastic. So excited about that. I'm flipping through right now. It looks a lot of fun. Action-filled comic book, so I'm excited to do that.
Yeah.
It's vibe-wise, it's kind of reminded me of some of that Death of Spider-Man kind of vibe. Is what I mean. I don't know if that's just I'm kind of picking up.
I don't remember if it was the same artist.
Since you have the book right
well,
there.
Not the artist isn't the same way. I'm just kind of like just the way the story looks like it's laid out. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting off of it. You know what I mean? But. There's definitely a great deal of action in this as well, so it looks like a lot of fun. I will say I am most excited about Fog, though. That Fog Town, I'm looking forward to that as well. But this is looking great, so that will be next week. Iceman thawing out. Thanks for listening, y'all, and we will see y'all on the flip side.
Bye. Bye.
So that happened. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode. This band of knuckleheads will be back next week with a new episode. Until then, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr as Funny Books and Firewater, and on Twitter as @FirewaterCast. Go to funnybooksandfirewater.com for the most up-to-date information, as well as cocktail recipes from this and past episodes. Thank you for joining us. And until next week, support your local comic shop, tip your bartender well, and stay hydrated.